United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I want to let you know that I object to this agenda because the agenda items that are in this agenda are set up to hide, in my opinion, taxes that have been proposed to the residents for open space and trash collection. Thank you.
Any public comment?
Yeah, I have one. Previously, I asked you about how you were going to stand up to, not stand up to, but to apply for things. How are you going to stand up to these developers now that are in here?
Okay, so the last time it was how I was going to stop, and this time that's how I'm going to stand up to them. I plan on putting people on the planning commission that will educate themselves to help us tighten up our zoning, our ordinances, things like that.
Well, what's different from previous administration to you now?
What has been done in the last 10 years to do that?
Yeah. What
No, I'm asking you. That's my question. What has been done in the last 10 years?
I'm asking you the question. I want answers from you.
Right now, I don't feel like much has been done. I feel like we could do much more.
Like what?
Well, I will say,
Like
so I'm a
review.
member of the Regional Planning Committee for Central Park Valley, and we met the other week. And I did discuss with Eric Jarrell, who's with Montgomery County. He said in May that I think it's called the Transportation and Housing Plan is going to be released. So I had it on my notes for tonight to bring up under the Planning Commission meeting dates. I know we've been having, the last two have been canceled, and I wanted to ask that the Planning Commission actually review the 2020 zoning and the comprehensive plan and make sure that we're staying on top of that. And if our zoning needs to change or can change to protect the township a little bit more with changing zoning, that we should be looking at that. So I was going to ask the Planning Commission, so I didn't know you were going to be here, Rick. I was going to
that can be done.
mention it, because Eric Jarrell said he would also come to a meeting and assist with ideas.
I would ask that you review the minutes from the planning commission for the last 10 years, and you'll see that quite a lot has been done.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is, you were condemning everybody else before, and you and your so-called clique, yeah. So you said a lot, but I want to know what didn't get done.
I wasn't privy to everything done, so I can't tell you what didn't get done. It's the case of you don't know what you don't know. What I perceived was, I forget the statistics, but it's something like out of 30-something meetings, 10 were had, 2 meeting minutes were published. I plan on changing that. That's what I ran on. I gave everybody in this township my word that I was going to try and tighten these things up, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to find ways to do it.
Okay. So is anything different from what was done before, though?
In my eyes, I can't tell you what was done in the past, Don. I can just tell you the perception. Mr. Crawford.
From the public's eyes, what's been done in the past 6-7 years, if you go by what minutes and information was posted on the website or set out in meetings that wasn't set in, just a resolution number with no explanation. And I sat in these meetings now for 16 years, okay? Nothing was done. Not that we know of, because you didn't tell us. You didn't tell us what you were doing. It was just all, you'd sit in the meeting here, and when you leave the meeting, you couldn't tell what was done, except resolution 2076 thing has been passed. Aye. Everything was always unanimous. There was never any discussion. And people sitting out here never got to say a word. So, from a public eyes, looking through my lenses, the lenses from the public, the board didn't do anything. If they did, they should have showed us. Because right now, I see ordinances that are trying to be tightened down by the Planning Commission with the stormwater, changing them, the parking, doing this, trying to make things harder for developers. Why wasn't that done 6 years ago? Why does it wait till somebody comes in here and is trying to build, now we're hurry up, let's try and change stuff? It should have been done. but people weren't doing their jobs. And now, we're where we're at. Now we're sitting here with the possibility of an apartment complex coming down here. So tell me, what did the board do?
My thing was
Well,
this.
let Rick speak.
Yeah, I see very few people at a planning commission meeting, so that's where you could have found some stuff out. What we do.
But you kept on canceling them. You kept
Well,
on going, it's
you have them
canceled.
when there's something to do. We're not gonna sit here and.
Well, that's
twiddle
not
our
what
thumbs.
that's
Well,
not
like
what
you
I
did, so
said.
you just hit the nail on the head. We need to be more proactive, which is
Okay.
why I was gonna recommend that
That's
you
why
look
we
at the
did the
plan,
water-
at the
the-
comprehensive plan,
The
so
water
we are
withdrawal ordinance
proactive.
last year, we did that, you know, that's been done for now. The last 3 years, I think there's been 2 houses built in Upper Frederick Township. And the current threat from the current developer so far has been stymied. I mean, he hasn't been in now, what, for 6 or 7 months? Well, I think there's a good reason for that. But, you know, when he does come back in, which he probably will, we'll do our best to control development. We can't stop it.
I never said we could stop. So you can stop saying that. I never once said that.
Well, I'm not saying.
No, I'm not saying,
But there
I'm
is-
talking to Mr. Cavitt.
Uh,
So that's what you get,
Here's where you said it, right here, when that note that I brought out to you before, you're gonna stand up to developers. I asked you how you're gonna stand up to them.
so I just told you how I would stand up to it. Okay? There's no stopping it.
Well, you never said that before.
I never said I was gonna stop it, Don.
Well.
I think it's a misinterpretation.
Yeah, I think it's
of
word
what-
games is what I think.
No, yeah,
I think it's a word game,
there's
but
a lot of
Rick,
word
to my
games
point
over the
with you
last
is-
3 years.
So my point is this, what is our fair share here as far as apartments and housing and developments and things like that? Does anybody know right now what our fair share is as far as apartment buildings? Is that even an option for this young man?
You have to provide for every use, to the extent, unless you can share that in the regional, with the regional zone. You know, sometimes we can place some of that off onto another municipality, but then you have to take something that they don't want. But to that extent, you can try to stop some of it, you know, take some of our share away.
But do we know what ours currently is right now?
No, we just have to have everything from, you know, apartments to industrial to 2-acre lots. We have to provide for every use.
Even if our fair share is being covered by someone else that's part of the Central Perkiomen Regional Planning Commission?
We'll have a better idea of that in May, when they send out the updated
All right.
housing
But this
and
is-
transportation plan.
These are the things that I wanna look into. I'm not saying you're deficient, I'm just saying we don't know. And with the developments coming in, I think, yeah, we should be proactive. I know we just had a canceled meeting, I caught an email over that, where the gentleman felt like we should be doing something, reviewing something. Is there something we could do? Like you had said, Mr. Buckman, there's new things come out all the time. So this young man, he's, you know, he's eager to go, let's say. He's a general contractor. He wants to look into it, take a deep dive. He's willing to educate himself. This is the other gentleman on the board that we stuck, I believe all 3 of them, that we stuck on. We asked them all, would you be interested in, or would you commit 80% to going to these, to education and attending these meetings? Everybody's answer was yes. But I'm not sure what we've done in the last so many years where personnel actually went to these. Like, do we have documentation where these guys have all gone? Like, I know there was one gentleman on the board for 8 years. Did he go to classes in those 8 years? Like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Me, myself either, but that's what I'm saying.
It should
We're
be a
gonna find
requirement.
out.
Should be a requirement. to
That's what we're gonna do.
educate.
We're gonna find out.
Dave Hartline did.
Did he? But Dave Harlan had a conflict, didn't he?
No.
Yeah, he
Well,
should
he
have
had
never
a
been put
conflict,
there,
but
right?
he backed out of that.
He had no
And
choice.
why did you not put him in? He's already educated in that.
Because he clearly had a conflict, so he was removed. Anything further? Mr. George?
George Jones, Clover Lane. The only problem I see is that there needs to be consistency in the planning board meeting. And, you know, I know that there might not be pressing issues each and every meeting, but I still think it's important to meet and discuss general topics, zoning. Even if there was 3 out of 5 members that were available, say 1 or 2 people had something else to do that night, that's fine. But I think the other 3 should push forward, still have the meetings, have open discussion, and try to figure out how we can get ahead of things and get out in front of these things before they happen. And I would just encourage the meetings to be more consistent. And that's about all I have to say on the topic. I mean, I appreciate everything that, you know, Mr. Buckman and the other board members do. But I think that with these developers, you know, their pending development, I think it's important for us to, you know, really show a united front and that we're organized. And we're just not meeting once in a while or when we get around to it. You know,
Well,
it
the
has
concern
to
would
be.
be if you only meet when something comes up, then that means you're not being proactive. And I
Yeah.
think we should be taking the steps to make sure that we are reviewing the comprehensive plan, and we should be, I think I mentioned this back in January at a different meeting, that we should be really looking at, are there key properties that are potentially desirable that we want to make sure are, what, and I have no idea what limitations are, so I'm just speaking off the cuff. Are there key farmland properties out there that somebody could potentially sell to a developer? And what can we do to make sure that we are proactive about that?
You're probably gonna
Before it's
discuss
too
that
late.
under open space, I would imagine.
Yeah. But
Yes, I mean, what, can we preserve, can we purchase, can we, you know, I don't know what that looks
Yeah.
like.
But
I'm just saying, I don't know what I don't know, but I would expect the planning commission to be
But I really
well-versed.
appreciate the importance of the work that the planning commission does, and
Vital.
And
it's
we
vital
we
to
do
our
have 3 out of 5
community.
people right now that need the education.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you get that by attending meetings or attending classes, but, or both, but on the identifying farmland that could be attractive to developers back in the, I may have told you this before, but I'm getting old. But back in the 80s, when I was a supervisor, I brought up an open space plan before the county ever did. And I proposed a bond issue, that we would use that money to buy development rights on open space in the township. And it got all these great editorials in the Pottstown Mercury, everybody loved it, but the residents didn't want to pay the taxes to foot the bill. And so it never got anywhere. And in reality, if that land all gets developed, the school taxes are going to go up more than what the taxes are going up to buy the development rights. Also, if I would have done it back in the 80s, that bond issue would have been paid off years ago. So, you know, maybe that's something to bring up again.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm currently working on, Rick.
I know you're.
So I spoke to you about that, I've spoke to other people about that prior to our conversation. I did get a contact information from you. I have 4 people that I've been working with since 2021 when I first ran for this office that have continued to work towards this. We will be discussing that in a little bit here. But it isn't just the 80s when you brought it up. It should have been taken care of in the 90s, 2000s, and so forth. We're just not going to get into it now. It is a priority inside this township and in our comprehensive plan. It says that, you know, through these primary polls that we did. It was on the tip of everybody's tongue. Everybody was driving for it. I think taxes, obviously, is what people don't want to hear.
You have to be willing to pay for it.
But there was ground bought by the township in the 90s and 2000 and other times.
Through the county plan.
Through the county, yeah. I'm talking about what we could do personally inside
It was
here. I
done
know
through,
what,
the township is who did it, not the county. The township pushed it to get the Girl Scout to sell ground to Hoppin. That was a forced purchase. The open space over there, the parks, that was all ground that was started here in this township. The county may have given us the funds, but it was started through. So there was ground bought in the years that you say there was no ground bought.
all right, let's go back. I didn't say there was no ground bought. What I'm saying is there was no priority here. So what I'm trying to do is establish this. There's no hidden tax here. That's what this is about. We didn't discuss a tax. That's why it's not in these meeting minutes.
Was it
That's
not
why-
identified as a tax in the previous meeting?
It
And
was,
in the previous version of this, it was identified as a tax in this agenda, until you changed it.
no, there was nothing on here that said open space tax. It said open space. That's what it said. I never sat here and said, hey, let's charge X amount of dollars towards the township. Did I say that? No,
Sure
I
you
didn't.
talked about taxes, man. Huh?
You could be pretty sure.
Yes,
But
you did. You did mention tax.
I'm sure I said that's how this would be funded, but I never said, we're gonna tax, and this is how much we wanna tax. That's why it's not written in here. I know the fodder you guys are looking for, you're just not gonna
It's
get
not
it.
fodder.
Once it comes up and this number comes out, I'll stand by it. Just like I told Rick, I'll stand by this bond that he wants. I've talked to other townships that did the bond, but I've also talked to other townships that had the open space too, since the 90s, who have all those funds, who didn't have to rely on the county because the county doesn't always have the funds. As Rick and I talked about, the county's strapped now. So there's, I think it's what, $500,000 they deal with each year for land preservation or something like that?
No, it gets spread too thin over the whole. county.
Right.
I think
So
we're going
that's
down a
where
rabbit
this,
hole.
that's
How about
where
we
this
just-
comes out.
I think the
Well-
whole purpose of it, you're talking about a tax, you can't actually talk about an open space tax until you decide if you even wanna have an open space
You
plan.
have to plan
Fair
first.
So I think
Right.
that that's why it's on here, is to say,
This-
is this something we should be talking about, and/or should we punt it to the planning commission to make sure that they're covering open space? Maybe it falls under their purview to see what is the likelihood of doing that? How would you fund something like that? But to put open space tax on the business before the board makes it look as though we're talking about a tax. We're talking about the idea of how would we preserve open space? It's
This-
not necessarily.
First step.
This
staff
agenda-
I think.
The previous version of this agenda that was presented as the draft had open space, it had tax on this line item. The other line item for trash collection, when I brought up, hey, how are you gonna do this? If your only method to do this trash collection is through a tax, then that line item should have tax on it. Then that
That's the
line
same
item
discussion,
was
it becomes a
got
discussion if you
taken
want the
away,
township to
and
pay
now-
for it.
Well, hold on a second, let him finish. So number one, we never discussed how that trash was gonna be done. It could be an individual bill to somebody's house. Why would I wanna scare the public with a tax, unless it was a plan or, for fodder?
Oh man, this is what you're talking about. How else are you gonna do it?
I just told you,
No,
so.
if you're
I would
talking
leave it
about trash,
up-
he was asking if there was a way that we could get, would it be beneficial for the township to have an agreement that a
I'm at every
standard
meeting,
trash
and I
company?
can tell you that it was
Didn't
just
say
in
we
the
were gonna pay
preliminary
for it.
stages of being discussed. There was nothing mentioned about any kind of taxes associated to any of these services. It was just in the discussion stage, hey, let's talk about it stage.
And I'm gonna, so
But I wouldn't
Sean,
get
I think
hung
this
up
is
on
what I
that.
think, having sat on the other side, and not as many times as I should have, okay? But I've never seen a real discussion at the Board of Supervisors. Just as Mr. Carafa said, when you guys come in, you've had your, the three of you would sit here, there was no discussion about anything unless Tracy said for 5 minutes, gave some little synopsis, but there was never a discussion about, what the other options were. So Bill and I are trying to be transparent about things that we can be doing as a Board of Supervisors that assist our township, keeping it rural, maybe saving money if we can get a better plan together with a trash company. What are ways that we could either A, save money or keep our township rural? These are discussions for us. We don't jump into saying we're gonna have a tax, but to be transparent with the township and to get their feedback and input, we have to have these discussions.
Okay.
So I think it's important that it doesn't say tax because that's misleading. That's gonna upset people. We don't know what we're gonna do. We don't know what path. What we're saying is, this is an idea. Can we talk about it? Do you have ideas? Let's get it out in minutes. Let's get it on a video. Let's get it on a recording so that people in the township can hear it and weigh in.
It's what a lot of people call brainstorming. In other words, Bill might have an idea, Sean has an idea, Mr. Buckman may have an idea on, say, trash collection. Or they could, share an idea that, hey, a friend of mine, they just went through this. And we kind of exchange ideas, and then before you know it, you have something that is a blend of everyone's ideas and it's workable for all.
This is what transparency looks like.
And
It's actually
that's
having the
really- that's
conversation
really
and
where we need to
allowing
be and where we
the
wanna
dialogue.
be.
And you know what? If some of it's heated, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Because people can be passionate about their township. I'm totally fine with people being passionate about their township, about their own finances, but you can't be transparent if you don't have a discussion
Okay.
with the township.
As far as, I just wanted to comment on the trash. If you don't live in the crossings, because I don't think the crossings have whitetail, I think you guys have somebody else. I'm not sure, but I think. But everybody else in the townships is pretty much stuck with whitetail. If you looked at your last bill, you'll see where all it said they got pulled into them this last round, we're on the discount. Well, the rates just went up again in January. So when our discount's up, we're gonna get hit real hard, and we have no other choice.
Correct.
Because nobody else is gonna come in and take it, it's not profitable or cost effective for them. So if the township reaches out on behalf of all the residents and says, you know, waste management or whoever, if we guarantee you, you're our trash, we made you the trash collector for our township, would you do it? And everybody just pays you and give us a decent rate? But right now, we can't do nothing. We're stuck, and we're screwed as soon as our first year is up with whitetail.
So I actually reached out to one vendor, and that's how it was proposed. It has nothing to do
No
with
tax.
hiding it in a municipal tax. That was an option that they did with another township. But that isn't how they have to do it.
We just wanna get an
So my
option.
biggest concern was if someone doesn't pay their bill, now someone else gotta, carry the load there. I didn't want our taxpayers to be responsible for that. I think everybody should be on
But
an
I could
individual
see
basis.
a vendor saying, if the township agrees to pay the monthly bill on behalf of the entire township, so we don't have to do individual collections and individual billing, then we will give you a further discounted rate. Then if that was proposed, that would come before the township and we would discuss, what does that look like? Does that save you money? Is it, less than the 100 and whatever we pay per quarter for?
Yeah, but it gets a little scary then because some of the farms and stuff don't use municipal.
No, we have dumpsters.
They have dumpsters, so why should they pay a tax for something
I
they're not
didn't
doing?
say one way or the other.
Right,
I
that's
don't-
what
I
I'm saying,
mean,
that's why I like to see
I'm just
where
saying that that
who uses
could
it
come up
pays
as an
for it,
option.
but if we can guarantee them that you're the trash collector for us, somebody else might come in.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
My son's-
I've reached out to one, but there's 4 that I have on a list, so I'm gonna reach out to. So there was no taxes, so everybody's clear on that,
But it's-
0.
It's an effort to save money, that's really what it's all about.
It's our job.
If you ask me, inflation's killing us all, I don't care how much
So
money
if we
you
can save a little
got.
bit here and there, I'm all for it.
Amen. Alright, so moving along, minutes, oh wait, is there any other public
Any other
comment?
public
Let me say that.
I just have one question concerning budget. The proposed budget, what time of the year does that usually come out? Like, say, January, February, or is it toward the end of the prior year?
September, October, it starts being
September,
discussed,
October.
right, Ms.
That's the proposed budget,
They
right?
usually discuss it in like September-ish.
Yeah, and then
They
when
have
is
budget
it?
discussions, they don't
Exactly.
publish it posted or proposed at that.
Then when is it approved, the approved budget
I
usually?
believe it's December.
Was the
That
December
is
meeting
one
to approve the
December,
budget?
okay.
It is December.
And then my other question is, toward the end of the year, after the money's spent, is there some sort of reporting back, some sort of